Okay. Let's call our October 1st, 2018 zoning board meeting to order. Let's call the roll, please.
Commissioner Carlson.
Here.
Commissioner Elsesser.
Here.
Commissioner Friedman. Commissioner Kaplan.
Here.
Commissioner Novak.
Here.
Commissioner Satter.
Here.
And Chairman Rowan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
It's great. Welcome, everybody. Sorry to have you cooling your heels for a few minutes, but it's a publicly noticed meeting so for 7:30, so it won't do to start early, because if somebody wanted to come here and we started before they got here, that'd be bad. First item is to consider the August 6, 2018 Zoning Board of Appeal minutes, which were circulated. Does anybody have any comments on the minutes? Or is there a motion to approve them?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved. The second item is a public hearing to consider a request of Justin Burton to increase the maximum gross floor area for construction of an attached one-car garage at 481 Grove Street. This is the first of two items we have tonight. Anybody who's speaking on either of these is going to be sworn in, and so we'd ask you to do now, if you're thinking of speaking, is Nathan will swear you in as a group.
What's from that group? Everybody raise your hand, right hand.
Anybody who wants to talk tonight?
Anybody who's going to be talking, even if you're thinking about it. Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will be providing in this matter will be true and complete? Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we're on the first of our two items, which is the FAR for the house for the garage at 481 Grove. Whoever is going to speak to that, come on up. Tell us who you are, if you're a Glencoe resident, where you live, and then tell us why you think we should approve this. And then after we've had that, and there may be some questions, if there's anybody who wants to speak. Otherwise, we want to hear from you too.
Mr. Chairman, before we get going, I'd like to recuse myself from this particular case, just based on a relationship. I think that's the thing to do, if okay with you.
Yeah, the only thing I should mention, so, it depends. Look, there are all kinds of rules that apply to lawyers and judges and stuff about when you have to recuse yourself. It's actually kind of limited. If you don't have a familial relationship or a financial relationship, usually you can participate. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is everybody who doesn't participate is a no. So in order for a variance to get through, it needs 4 votes. So we're down 2 if you recuse, which doesn't leave a lot of room for error. I don't know whether this is going to be close, and so I don't know whether obviously if there's a financial relationship, you have to recuse yourself. If there's a familial relationship, you have to recuse yourself.
So that's not the case. There's no familiar relationship. There's no financial relationship.
If it's people you're either friendly or unfriendly with, and you think you can call it straight, then it's probably better if you participate. And I would note that there are lots of judges. That's my business. Law business. There are lots of judges who hear cases involving lawyers that are their friends all the time. Sometimes they make them happy, and sometimes they don't. So,
well said. I'm going to step back in. I withdraw my recusal.
Okay. Tell us who you are and why you think we should approve this.
Thank you very much. May it please the Commission. I'm Justin Burton. I've lived in Glencoe now for 15 years, and I now live at 41 Grove Street, almost 15 years. And now I live at 41 Grove Street. And we're trying to build a one-car detached garage. I know it says attached on the agenda. It's only attached, and I'll let Ed Dewey speak to that, who's my architect, as to how it's going to look and how it's going to be kind of attached to the house. I think I would like to lean on Ed when it comes to the description of the hardship here, and certainly it's a description to the house and how it's going to fit into the community.
My name is Ed Toohey. I'm with BBA Architects. We are the original architects for the house, which was originally constructed in 2014, 2015? Yeah. Right around there. Anyway, so Justin and Erica would like to be able to bring a vehicle on grade or close to the predominant first floor level of the house. Along Grove Street, from the corner at Jefferson going to the south, the street drops about 7 feet over the length of the property, and their garage that they enter off of the south end of the property off of Grove Street is a half a story, a little more than a half a story down from the predominant level. So you really enter somewhere above the garage space. It's kind of a split level arrangement on that southern portion of the building. Being a corner lot, they have a little less lot width to build on than if it were an interior lot, because there's a 25-foot setback from...
2 front yards.
Exactly.
Okay.
Correct. So that sort of pushed everything back a little bit. If they were to build a detached garage by right, that would normally have to be in the rear yard space. It was the standard in Glencoe. And that area, if entered from the south end of the lot, would have to be in the southeast corner of the lot, which would be a significant climb, topographically, from the Grove Street entrance. And from the Jefferson Street side, it would be a significant driveway, which would, eat up quite a bit of lot surface area just in terms of the pavement and so forth. Which, just to build the house with just a bare minimum amount of exterior landscape, hardscape zone, they're already, topping out, with those regulations, simply just because of, I think, the way we had to enter from the south and the turnaround space and so forth. So we've designed a garage structure for the Jefferson Street elevation for the eastern portion of that of the lot, along as you are on Jefferson. And we feel that we've matched the shingle style detailing of the house and the front porch. And the scale of it, although it is attached with via the sort of the porch structure, we feel that it is consistent with some of the other smaller detached garage structures that you see throughout the village. Only its position is a little more forward on Jefferson Street. So we feel it's a thoughtful design for the site, and we feel like it meets the client's requirements of being able to pull a car in on the Jefferson Street side, and so elderly parents and other people can come in and be at the predominant grade level when they have visitors, or so Erica and Justin can also age in place and get in and out of their car.
So this is you're just asking for what looks like a fairly modest FAR variance?
Correct. I believe it's 300.
So it's not setback. It's just FAR, and the reason it's FAR is because it's not detached. It's sort
I'll
of
ask
attached.
Nathan to verify that, because that's true. I just wanted to make certain that you're okay.
Yes, the FAR, it's solely a variation request for FAR. They're requesting a 6.54% increase, which amounts to an additional 360.10 square feet.
And the reason, if it were detached, there wouldn't be FAR for this.
Correct. There is an FAR exclusion, or that's what our zoning code refers to it as, an exclusion for a detached garage of 400 square feet. But a detached garage is required to be located on the rear 50% of the lot.
Okay.
At the proposed location, obviously, it's not at the rear 50% of the lot, because For corner lots in Glencoe, the narrower of the two street frontages is where the front yard setback is applied. So the rear half of the lot is the south half of the lot, and the front half of the lot is the north half, which is why they're required to connect the garage to the house, which is what they're doing with the sort of covered walkway.
Okay.
But the covered walkway is allowing it to legally be on the front half of the property because it's no longer detached. However, it disqualifies them from a bonus for a detached garage because it's not in the rear half and it's not detached.
I brought a couple of additional pictures of the house. If
Good.
you-
Yeah,
I didn't bring, I'll
absolutely.
just bring them up.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I didn't bring extra copies.
That's fine.
This is-
Start over there, or,
This one is from the southeast corner of the property. So I'm standing in the area where you would be able to build a detached garage. And this one is along Grove Street looking north so that you can just understand the sort of the slope of the ground as it goes.
I know the house.
Okay, all right.
okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it would be up, yeah, it would be up, yeah, up there on the other side. Yeah, very short, yeah, just a little cloister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you think we should know? Oh,
An additional shot, that's just the Jefferson Street elevation there, which, that's not the best angle to show it. I took this before I know the building.
okay.
But,
So where is the new garage going?
it would be on the far left side of this photo, which would be just off of that
Oh, okay.
photo right there.
Okay. Okay, anybody have any questions? Is there someone speaking in opposition to this? Okay. Anything else you want? You're going to get a chance to come back
Okay.
and respond.
All right,
So.
great.
Okay, so I think we have someone speaking in opposition, so come on up, tell us who you are, where you live, and then tell us why you think we shouldn't approve this.
Okay, I'm Dave Hayes. My wife and I live at 508 Jefferson Avenue, and
Okay,
we work from home.
okay,
So our house is one lot removed from where 481 Grove wants to locate the proposed new garage. I strongly object to granting a variance to allow construction of this garage.
Hey, let me just stop you for a second. There's another lot. I'm just looking at we have this drawing, and the red dot is where the...
Josh Rinkoff, who's going to speak also, lives between me and 481 Grove.
Okay. So,
It's the third house in from Grove Street.
yeah.
You?
That's
Well, if
you.
you count his house,
Yeah.
I'm the third house in from Grove. I'm the
Right,
second
right.
house in from on Jefferson.
Okay.
His house fronts
Okay,
Grove.
so you're not right next to it.
Yeah, but I'm very close.
I got it.
Okay, so I got 4 reasons why I think you should object to deny this appeal. First of all, my understanding is that variances are typically granted when a hardship might exist and/or it's for the public good. In this case, I don't see a hardship in that in rejecting the variance, given that the home already has a 3-car garage. Also, in terms of the public good, immediate neighbors certainly don't benefit from the building of this 4th-car garage. Quite the opposite, in my opinion. The building already occupies the maximum floor area of the lot. Adding a garage to a home that already has a 3-car garage creates a building footprint that overwhelms the lot. It will result in elimination of what little green space currently exists. Isn't that what the maximum floor area regulation is designed to avoid? So why then give the variance? When this home was built just 4 years ago, a large old-growth grove of trees was removed to build, already affecting the green space in the neighborhood. Since I understood this new home was pre-sold before building, why didn't the owner incorporate a 4th garage into plans according to village code if this was a necessary consideration? And I think this is something that's really important. To utilize this proposed garage, 481 Grove would have to build a new driveway that fronts Jefferson Avenue. The house's current driveway is on Grove Street. The proposed driveway would be on the side of Jefferson Avenue that allows parking and would break up the one portion of the 500 block of Jefferson where tradespeople and lawn services can presently park their vehicles without blocking existing driveways. Should this change due to construction of this proposed garage, I can readily envision a scenario whereby vehicles are forced to park in a manner that results in a partial blockage of my driveway, not infrequent occurrence that has already occurred during construction projects in recent years, or even worse, in front of the fire hydrant at our end of the street, creating dangers to my family and home. So, in conclusion, I recommend that the Zoning Board of Appeals reject the appeal by 41 Grove Street. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there someone else who wants to speak in opposition? Okay, come on up. Tell us who you are, where you live, and what's wrong with this.
Okay, thank you. My name is Josh Rinkov. My family lives at 510 Jefferson.
So you're next door.
We're next door, yeah. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. So the first we heard of this was probably not unlike a lot of other people just last week. My wife and I were a bit surprised to find out about the proposed construction. Our lot, so just so everyone understands, because I don't know if it's in the picture, we are lot number 2 of the subdivision, sitting directly next to on the east side of Jefferson, okay, of the Burton home. So like the Burtons, we bought our lot from the same developer. Like the Burtons, we spent a lot of time on architectural designs to best fit the lot's topography. Topography of the lot we bought, it was a blank canvas. There was a house there that got torn down before the lot was subdivided. So we did have a pre-existing house on the lot, but nobody was moving into that lot, so we weren't just getting what we were getting. We had an opportunity at that point to do what we wanted to do. So this probably could have been handled at that point when we were going through the same process. Due to the village requirements, we had to actually make certain changes to our plans in advance of gaining approval. Our driveway entrance was the pre-existing driveway entrance to the previous house, and when we tried to move it during the design phase, we were told we couldn't do that. So if this goes in, there'll be two, to Dave's point, there'll be 2 driveways fairly close to each other. It's a tight street with a lot of traffic. The proposed fourth car spot negatively impacts, in my opinion and my family's, the curb appeal of Jefferson, and for that matter, how our home is viewed and valued. The first thing all passing cars will see when they turn onto Jefferson off of Grove, heading east will be the garage at that point. And then when you come down Greenwood off of Jefferson, when they get towards our house, the first thing they'll see our house, but then they'll see a big white garage right in back of it that wasn't there before. It's always been green space, is designed originally. One of the great things, so my wife and I aren't from here. We've been up here about 4.5 years. Neither of us grew up in Illinois. And one of the reasons why we actually picked Glencoe, one of many reasons, is because Glencoe has appropriate sized houses per lots. And we know that it's very, very much appropriate here. People find that to be an important part of living here. There's no overbuilding like we saw and have seen in many other suburbs, and suburbs where I grew up even. Most importantly, the new driveway takes away from much needed street parking. I mean, the street, our block's overcrowded with overflow from Skokie Country Club. People are always parking on our street. People have friends over. People park down by our houses to walk up the block because our block and our side of the street is tight. You have UPS trucks, FedEx trucks, you have lawn care that's always parked on that long stretch because there's nowhere else to park. Amazon's, running up and down the street every day. So I guess I just, I don't understand why we would want to add more difficulty and frustration to an already congested area for a 4th garage. I just don't see the hardship. So I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Response.
Thank you. Just to respond to a couple of the concerns, especially the parking issue, all we're talking about is a small portion for a driveway. I know and I understand my neighbor's concerns, and I will address them. Certainly, as their concerns about a big white garage or perhaps something that might be an eyesore, this won't be. I went back to Mr. Tui because he drew up a beautiful, outstandingly nice home for me in Glencoe. And it's going to abide by the same exact architectural design and color scheme as our house. In fact, we're opening the back doors as like a barn door, so we can use it as like a shed as well as a garage coming in for a car as well. We'll do nothing to disturb what people feel is the excellence of Glencoe. You know, we all the trees are there in the lot. We're not taking down any trees. We're not asking for any of that. What our concern is in adding this in one-car garage, and really 360 square feet, is that we couldn't put it at the south end of the lot because we can't access it because of the incline, and it is a good 6-7 foot incline to get up to that southeast corner, and so we have no other choice but to put it on the northeast corner. So I do thank everybody for listening to us. I do thank my neighbors for coming and expressing their concerns, and I can assure them that we'll do everything we can to satisfy and ease their concerns with that lot, certainly. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, so I have to say I didn't expect this because if you followed the zoning board for the last, 5-10 years, if people don't come to object and someone comes in and asks for a variance and it's not a shocking eyesore, we're inclined to say yes. But there's always a reservation. But we recognize that, homeowners have property rights. People want to do what they want to do with their homes, and anybody that wants to do anything with their house thinks it's a hardship if they don't get to do it, and we recognize that. At the same time, we've always had a caveat. If neighbors come in and they say this is going to be harmful to us, because they also have a property right in their homes, and they have an interest in having the statute enforced to the letter. So we try to ferret out the Hatfields and the McCoys. That is, if there's some personal feud going on, we try to ferret that out. That does not appear to be the case here. So I have to say, I find this really difficult. It's a relatively modest request. 300 feet is not normal. 300 feet in FAR is not really that much. In general, if all of the buildings adhere to the FAR plus the variance, we think that usually it'll look okay. But I take the point that we have not one but two neighbors who are right by there, and they're saying this is going to be bigger, it's going to affect the parking on their street. Those are all totally legitimate concerns. I'm still thinking about what I want to do, but I would welcome my fellow board members to speak up and say what they think.
Sure. Who goes first?
And if any of us says anything that gives you pause, or you want to correct us or something, just, raise your hand, because we want to get this right.
Yeah.
Okay?
Just wanted to clarify one point in terms of the built area on the lot.
I'm sorry, the what?
In terms of the built area on the lot, if we were to build a detached garage by right in the rear yard, we could build more area by right than is asked in this particular request.
Where would the driveway be?
It may have to be, it would have to have a pretty steep incline, which brings me to the other point in that I just wanted to clarify what I believe the hardship is for this, because it is a corner lot, so there's less width to build in, and a corner lot with topography, I believe, together those two factors should weigh in your decision.
How much of that topography was man-made? They excavated tons to put in that home basketball court or that.
The
I remember the original lot. It didn't look anything like that. I lived there for 10
I
years
have
before Matt moved out.
The curb elevations and the driveway are exactly the same as National Grid, as they were.
Look, we don't, we're not punishing anybody for designing a house that they wanted to design and a yard that they wanted to design in accordance with the requirements. Okay, but thank you, that's helpful.
Hey, Nathan,
Yes.
so the east lot line setback from the garage, and I can't read that, I forgot my glasses.
Oh, sure,
Can you tell me what that is?
yeah. On the east side, which would be the interior lot line
Yes.
with the neighbor, it's at the 10, it's, the minimum side yard setback is 10 feet.
Okay, so so there's no variance needed for that.
No, there's no variance needed
Okay.
for any of the, for any setbacks or location requirements.
Okay, and so as an alternative, that sounds like it would be in compliance if this garage was pushed to the rear yard, say, into the south half of the lot, which would then allow it to be a detached garage, correct? And then it could meet the bonus requirements, and there would be no need for a variance. Alternatively, they would have to have a long driveway to get there. Would there be an impervious surface issue then there? Are you familiar with the?
Yes.
There would be.
There's already going to be, we've done some preliminary reviewing of the concept plan at the staff level prior to placing it on your agenda for a few reasons. Number one, it's adding a driveway in a new location. So there was some staff review that needed to go into that. I also had our village engineer review the calculations that were submitted for impervious surface with the original house. And adding the garage would mean that they would have to add additional improvements to offset the impervious surface.
And what about the extra driveway if they did an alternative?
The driveway location we reviewed in terms of its adjacency to other curb cuts and in terms of existing parkway trees. And we determined that again, this is a conceptual plan. We determined that the driveway could work as long as it's centered as much as possible in between the two existing parkway trees that are there. But the village's impervious surface requirements, we don't have a flat percentage limit. It's not just a flat amount. There's a formula. And if you're above the number, or if you're below the number once we run the formula, you're fine. You don't have to, what we call, engineer a solution. If you're over the number, you have to engineer a solution. So essentially, the philosophy is the more of the lot you cover, the more you have to offset it with an engineered solution, which is usually on-site stormwater detention, large pipe underground.
Okay. So any kind of runoff?
So there would likely need to be there would need to be some additional stormwater improvements made to accommodate the garage.
Even as this is designed now?
As it's designed, as it's proposed,
So then
correct?
to try and push it into the rear yard so that it would be a detached garage would require even more compensatory water storage to account for the
Yeah, I would
additional
assume so,
driveway.
because you're going to have more driveway.
All right, thank you.
Unless it's, I think what they were testifying to previously was that it would be difficult to access a detached garage in the rear corner from the existing driveway just because of the grade.
Right, I believe the architect mentioned they considered a long driveway, but it would just use up a lot of the green space. It wouldn't be as functional.
Yeah, and from some of the I don't know if one of the photos that they passed around, I think it showed what the topography looks like in that
Yeah.
area.
Can I ask you a question? You mentioned, I think in your statement, that your parents, or I saw in the write-up, so your parents are elderly, And one of the purposes of doing this is so that you can more safely get them in and out of the house?
And that's true. My father is 82-year-old diabetic, and he was in town recently and had a very difficult time even just making it up the stairs without me actually giving him support from behind. So yes, if we had the detached garage in a way to access the house that way off of Jefferson, we can walk him straight into the family room and he's already in our home, as opposed to walking up the stairs.
So would you ultimately have 2 driveways then?
We would ultimately have 2 driveways, that's correct.
Is there no, and obviously you've probably done your, I'm just curious, it's a beautiful home, I'm familiar with it, drove by it, looked at it today. No chance you could put some kind of a lift or any kind of elevator in the house to offset that need?
There just isn't the space for it. So if we come in the back side, there's no space for it coming even just up the stairs there. The stairs are very narrow coming up towards, from the present space of the garage, walking up the stairs into the kitchen. You're looking at, what is it, 3.5 feet, 4 feet? Yeah. Right. So I just don't think there's the space to allow that to happen, unfortunately.
And so just so I'm clear, is a variance is not needed for the driveway, correct?
No, correct. No, yeah, the only thing they're requesting of variation for tonight is for the FAR increase,
They wouldn't
which
have
which
the
I mentioned
driveway
was
if they didn't have-
6.54% increase.
But they wouldn't have the driveway if they didn't, have the FAR.
And so the front of the house faces Grove or Jefferson?
It faces Grove Street.
Okay, and what access to the house is near that proposed new garage?
The north side of my property, which would be the side of my house, would have access. And you can access it through, we have a screened-in porch here now, you can walk straight through the screened-in porch. And that's where the walkway is by design right now. Would be a walkway straight into the screened-in porch to allow you to get into the house. All in the same elevation.
I have elderly parents too, I'm very sympathetic to that point of view, but if they visit a couple times a year, this is permanent. This is here 24/7. And it's affecting my life 365. Doesn't seem fair.
Anybody else, thoughts, questions? We're going to have to vote pretty soon. It is really unusual when neighbors come in and say no. It happens, but it's really unusual. For future reference, it's always a good idea to go to your neighbors and see if you can get them on board. We've had neighbors come in, and when we thought the neighbors were really off base, we've overridden their views. But I have to say, I voted for almost every variance that I've considered since I've been on the zoning board. But I'm thinking of voting against this one, not because it's not a flaky request, I understand it, but your neighbors are unhappy with this. They think it's going to affect their property. And they have the same kind of interest that you do in having our zoning ordinance complied with. And it's not, to me, I'd say it's hard to say that it's a hardship to have a fourth car in a garage.
Well, the hardship wouldn't be in the fourth car garage. The hardship is where it's located.
I understand the
Right,
point, but
right.
I don't know whether, one of the things you said, and I hate this, but one of the things you said is that you thought, if you did this, you'd do it in a way that your neighbors would be satisfied. And I wonder...
And I meant it too.
I understand that. I wonder if the thing to do is to continue... I don't know, if my fellow board members are inclined to just approve this, which I am not, then, let's go ahead. But otherwise, I would, if we turn it down, you can't come back for 6 months, I think. So 6 months?
It's a year.
A year. But if we postpone it, we're getting into winter, which I know is unfortunate, but maybe you could talk to your neighbors and figure out if there's a way to do this so that they're not in here complaining. Because the public, we have a statute, variances are allowed, they have a legitimate point of view, you have a legitimate point of view, and, it's not obvious in this circumstance that your point of view should override theirs.
Can I ask them, is there any way that you guys would reconsider if we had a recess and continued to the next meeting? Or is that even going to happen?
I would hope, if you did that, we would want to know what the discussions were and what the suggestions to try to fix this were. Because one thing we do, the most important interest is the property owner's interest. It's his house. And I understand that, it's sort of near your house, but it's his house. So if it's really just, if we have the feeling that you guys are just being unnecessarily tough on him, we might very well vote for it. So I would hope, maybe there's nothing that can be done. And Deborah made a good point, which is if to the extent your beef is the driveway, they could do that anyway. They don't need a variance to do a driveway. They need a variance to do this garage. But I'm inclined to think we should sort of, if anybody thinks they just want to vote for the variance, then you speak up. But if it's going down today, then what I would suggest you do is postpone it, which we can do. We weren't going to have a meeting in November, but we could. And see if you can work something out where everybody's satisfied. And that's not an opportunity, I'm not looking for payments. If I heard somebody was getting paid, we'd be mad.
There's a couple of things. I don't want to have the board come back
No,
and
well,
re-vote or relitigate this
That's
issue.
our job. No,
We
that's our
planned out
job.
in anyway.
That's our job. We're fine.
No, I was just wondering, is there any way that I can convince the two of you, or is it just, it's not worth even the continuing?
I would, just so you know, if you said here tonight, you could never convince us, no matter what, we might think you were being unreasonable. If you came to that conclusion, having considered alternatives, and we looked at him and you explained, well, he thought of this, but that doesn't work because of this. We do, and if neighbors object, absolutely entitled to, but we try to ferret out whether they're being reasonable or whether they're just being difficult. So far, you have both, everybody in the room has seemed reasonable, appropriate, but.
I have a few comments.
Go ahead.
The first one is, as it turns out, I'm also very familiar with Mr. Rinkoff over there, so I have friends on both sides of the aisle here.
Good. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
So with that out of the way, I just wanted to make sure I'm understanding things correctly here. So some of the comments from Mr. Rinkoff, and I'm sorry, I'm blanking on your name, but Mr. Hayes. We're talking about this being a potential eyesore. And I'm very familiar with the house as well. I've never been inside, but I've driven by a number of times. And in looking at the layout here, what we have is a long, a corner lot, but it's long kind of north-south wise. And so if you're driving on Jefferson and there's a garage there, that, to me, and this is just me, but that's not going to look out of place because you don't know where the driveway is or where the garage currently is, right? So all of the driveways that are on Jefferson are one after another, and this would be the same depth. In fact, doing my eyeball approach, it'll be a little bit further off the street. And actually, it would be nice if we had the dimension from the actual curb. Right now, I'm seeing a dimension from the lot line, which I understand, which is 40 feet, but it's probably about 60 feet off of Jefferson, off of the curb of Jefferson. So, I understand the loss of a parking spot The concept of it looking too big for the lot or an eyesore, I'm having a little trouble getting behind that, just based on the fact that he's selected the original architect of the house and gone to the trouble of designing it to fit in. And actually, I think by having that covered walkway, it's going to look more in line with a newer Glencoe house to have an attached garage, albeit mildly attached. So I just had a few comments to share about the aesthetic part. Losing a parking spot, and with the spillover traffic from Skokie Country Club, I understand a little bit more there, but I think it's really, even in that scenario, only probably one car. So to me, I'm torn because I agree, Howard, like, it's not every day you have opposition here, and they have some good points, but I thought I'd share some of where I was thinking at this point.
So I don't actually disagree with any of that. I think if I were a neighbor, I'd say, we're all in the same block, we have to live together, and I might let it go. But I don't live there. They do.
Yeah.
And a citizen has a right to come to us and say, I would like the ordinance enforced, as long as they're not doing it for some inappropriate reason.
So if the standard for a variance is a hardship, I don't really see what the hardship is. That's my problem.
So, well, and I get that, it's hard. So I understand the point about the grade, which makes it difficult to design around and add this, fourth car garage. But it's hard to say a fourth car garage is a hardship. That's tough.
And there appear to be other ways to get into the house.
So, having said that, if your neighbors were happy, we would approve this. We would. So, is there anybody that's prepared to vote for this now? I don't think so. So, let me suggest, what I would suggest is pass it, not for tonight, but for the next meeting, or whenever you want. How long is the application good for?
I think it can, as long as there's a motion to continue, it can be
so
indefinite.
Do you need me to orally motion to continue?
No. Well, we would do it. But I just, and then try to talk to your neighbors, and then everybody should report back when you're ready to report back about, I hope what you've accomplished.
Okay.
And maybe it can't be done, but maybe it can. And I would just say to the neighbors, you're absolutely entitled to come in and do what you've done. But I would hope that maybe there's something that the Burtons could do so that they could do with their house what they want, and you could be happy in your houses.
Frankly, I think 4 weeks is more than sufficient.
Okay.
So
Okay.
just so I understand, does that mean that we're still at an impasse for 4 weeks?
You tell us.
Okay.
And
But what if that impasse tonight, you were going to vote no, and then 4 weeks from now, you still vote yes?
that's possible, but that's always possible.
Because I can tell you, right now, the driveway on Jefferson is a huge deal, particularly my wife, who works from home. We see, it's not just losing one parking space, to your point about one car. It's the only uninterrupted area for lawn crews, tradespeople. We have a new house going up 2 doors down from me. The street is, jam-packed with plumbers, electricians, and cement people, and all this. And it goes all the way down. That's the only uninterrupted portion without it going on. I've had to go out and scream at people because they're blocking the driveway already, and they're blocking the fire hydrant. I only have one fire hydrant on the street, and it gets blocked all the time. That's a big deal.
I understand it. I don't know if there's a way around it, and I'm not suggesting that in a month you're going to come back and we're going to have changed our mind. But one thing you should be aware of is that the driveway does not require a variance.
I understand, but if
if there's nothing to attach, I get the point, they need a variance for FAR for the driveway to be attached to
Oh,
something.
but only,
They could just build a driveway up to pull a car in it.
no, they could build a driveway, halfway down the lot and build a garage there. And then it would be right next to your, probably in your rear yard. And that he could do by right, as long as it's not attached to the house. He was going to give up some of his rear yard area, but of course, he could make it worse. I think he could conceivably make the design worse and more impactful for you than where it is now. So I think that, Chairman's recommendation that you kind of think about it. I mean, think about what the worst alternative would be. Because legally, he could do that. He wouldn't need
Without
any
coming back.
variance.
I gather that, subject to the impervious, water thing, there's a lot of stuff that can be done without asking us. So, as we are here today, and this is very unusual, I think this would not pass now, but I want to give the group of you a chance to see if there's something that can be done. We're not suggesting, if the answer is no, that we're going to change our mind to the, so is there a motion to, do we?
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
If you don't mind?
Absolutely.
So, not unlike Scott, Justin was my friend. Consider him a friend, I consider his family, our family and friends. Is extremely uncomfortable and difficult. Justin knows it. Justin says he mentioned it to me when we were hanging out at our house.
I did.
I can't for the life of me remember this because if someone was going to build a driveway in the garage that would obstruct our view of the street or oncoming views of our house, I think I would feel like I would have remembered, but maybe I was screaming at the time, or I don't, doesn't matter. Okay. I found out about this a week ago tomorrow or something like that. Nathan and I spoke about it. He explained it to me. He sent me information, and because I didn't know this, I never had this, and so I wanted to read up on what the rules were. And I never got it because it went in my spam. So Nathan, this early, kind of late morning, we're on the phone. This is after my third. I called him. I emailed him. Thursday, Friday. Called him again. Called him today. I'm like, hey, I'm still waiting on this information because I know I have to go tonight. So I got this information. When I looked, I said, oh, they're building a 20-foot high garage, 18 feet 9 inches high garage, which basically means from my living room, kitchen, almost living room out, I won't see Jefferson Grove anymore. And that means that when I step out of my house, I took some pictures on my phone. But when I'm coming down my street, when I look, it's like I'll see a big white building out there as opposed to the green space and everything else that was previously done. Now, whether it's moved up to the curb or moved back in that area, it's still going to obstruct our view. It's still going to obstruct others' views of our house. And we spend a lot of money and time and got the plans approved, no different from the Burtons at the same time, where we know the same thing. So, regardless of the fact that, that he could, I guess, move it up closer to the street and make it more like an eyesore, or he can keep it back where it is. Either way, it's going to be, in my opinion, and really my wife's opinion, it's going to be an eyesore because you're going to see that when you drive down the street and you look at our house. There's no way. I can't put 20-foot trees in because you only allow 8-foot trees, right? Is that wrong or is that correct? So I couldn't.
We don't do trees.
We don't do landscaping. Fences.
not
No,
trees.
we don't regulate the height of
Okay,
trees.
so I could pay him for 20-foot trees.
Yes.
You could.
But then would block my view of the street. Now that
Yeah.
it's so nice that we have that overlooks that we see Skokie Country Club and everything else. So it's really an unfortunate circumstance. I can understand your difficulty with making this decision. It's as difficult as me sitting here tonight in the seat.
Look, all of you have acted in, appropriately in your interest, in the public interest. You've all done credit to Glencoe showing up here. I'm really sorry we haven't solved this. And we, I recognize that it is not easy coming in to object to something that your neighbor and friend wants to do. All of this is difficult for everybody, and probably less for us than it is for the neighbors who are going to be living with us for, ever. So, like I said, at this moment, with regret, this isn't passing. I don't know if there's anything you can do, but we'd like to give you a chance to try.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So do we need to make a motion to?
Yeah,
So
you
is
need-
there a motion to continue this to the next meeting? But if you decide you need more time or want more time, then just let us know. But is there a motion to continue it to the next meeting?
Which is November 5th.
Did you say 5th? Nathan?
Yes.
It's Monday the 5th.
I'll make a motion to continue this item to the November 5th.
Is there a
meeting.
second?
Second.
Do we need a roll call, or can we,
Yeah, I'll do a roll call on that. Carlson,
Yes.
Elsesser,
Yep.
Kaplan,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Satter,
Yes.
and Chairman Rowan.
aye.
Motion approved.
Okay, I apologize that we haven't solved this. I apologize to everybody that you're leaving not knowing exactly what we're doing. And I commend all of you for your good faith efforts. Keep trying. If it can't be done, it can't be done.
Well, thank you very much for your time, I really appreciate it.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, so now we have the next item, and I should apologize to all of you. We really try to move this along, and we get a D for failing to accomplish that here, so I apologize. So the next item is a public hearing to consider a request of Michael Raggins, did I pronounce that right? Reagans, to reduce the front yard setback for construction of an addition to the existing garage at 573 Westwood Lane. So if you're ready to speak, tell us who you are, where you live, and why we should do this. You're one of my names. Whoever the owner is
Yeah, I'm
Mike.
the owner. I'm Mike Reagan. I'm here with my wife.
Okay,
We're
you're sort of my neighbor. I live on Long Meadow.
Oh, perfect. We're renovating the home, which we're going to live in, and I'm going to let my architect, Thomas Butzik, talk about our...
Is there anybody here objecting to this one? So you're about to find out that it's a totally different program if somebody comes in, asks for a modest request within the variance standards, and your neighbors are happy. You're about to find out a totally different program. Go ahead.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Thomas Budzik. I'm the architect on the project. As Mike had mentioned, he's purchased this home and is remodeling the interior of the home. And the one big deficiency that we've tried to kind of work around is the width of the existing garage. It's 19 feet wide right now, and it's just a little bit too tight to really function as a two-car garage. So the request here is to basically extend the garage towards the front yard setback, approximately 8 feet, to allow for a wider, more functional garage.
Excuse me, can you speak up? There's a big fan blowing right above.
Sure.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
thank you.
So we have investigated a number of different options to try to relieve the garage size issue. We have looked at doing a side addition and doing potentially another driveway. We have looked at extending the garage further, making it a true three-car garage. Ultimately, we've decided on this approach so that the Reagans can have a comfortable two-car garage with sufficient storage on site, keep the driveway largely intact, the driveway configuration largely intact, so there'd be a kind of minimal disruption to the exterior, and focus as much of their efforts as possible onto the interior model for the home. So with that, any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Anybody have any questions about this?
I guess the only question I have is, so will the materials be the same? Are you going to try and reuse the brick so that it looks like the rest of the house on that portion that faces the street?
Yeah, so there's, the brick is rather unique, so
It's all yellow brick.
Yes, and it's a
All
very,
right.
very unique texture as well. So what we're going to try to incorporate is, we probably won't have enough brick to do the whole facade because they probably won't be able to salvage enough, and there's no way they're going to find a match. So we might do some low band accents just to bring that detail across to the front. And then all the siding is going to be replaced, so that siding will be all look uniform throughout.
Anybody have any more questions? Nobody's objecting. Oh, so Nathan, I was,
Yes.
Do we mail notices, or is it all email at this point?
Notices.
Notice of like, to the
Yeah,
neighbors,
so in your packet, you see the
the list of both.
the little map.
Right.
And then the map is showing you who we mail
Okay, they get mail.
a
Okay.
letter with a notice.
Okay, good. Because it-
I had previous phone call conversations with one of the neighbors last week who had questions about the previous variation. I emailed him some of the plans
Okay,
because
that
the
was my
only
question.
thing that goes out in the mail is sometimes a site plan or
Right.
just the public notice.
Right, okay.
So I emailed him several times last week, and it wasn't until this morning that I said, have you checked your spam folder? Because sometimes, it's happened a few times, our email ends up in someone's spam folder. And sure enough, this morning was when he realized that, and we spoke on the phone 3 times today.
Okay.
Nathan, in regards to this particular project, have you heard of any objections from any of the
No,
neighbors?
I did not receive any inquiries with anybody about this particular item.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second,
Let's have a roll call.
Carlson,
yes.
Elsesser,
Yes.
Kaplan,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Satter,
Yes.
Chairman Rowan.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Welcome to town. Welcome to the neighborhood.
How long you been in Glencoe? How long you been in Glencoe?
So we purchased it in March of 2020.
I'm on Long Meadow, which is by the golf course. Sure. And if the number is 12:45, we're the last house before the street stops, and then it picks up again. Oh, yeah, we should.
Not yet.
Are you right at the 18th tee box?
I'm after the first shot.
Oh, okay.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.